Forget to turn on microphones.
My arm's hard enough to get off the ground.
If you put that, when you look here again, the filter that I was talking about, I think it was one of these. Share screen. Click on that for a second.
It won't work there. It would have to be on this screen because I'm an admin on this computer.
There's one point at which if you hit it, someone can come in on you and show all sorts of things.
That's set now. They'd already have to be in the room. Sorry, I didn't know that light was out.
You all ready for the elections, Julie?
Yeah, nobody, not one person has asked for an absentee, which I thought was weird. But it's just, there's nothing else going on.
Right.
So I don't know how big the turnouts gonna be. Because usually we have something from the state, but there's nothing.
Which means you have to work harder to get the residents to come. It's still a school budget.
School plus budget plus.
Right, I just mean that those things are still important, even though it's not a big something for the whole state.
Hopefully.
Dug my root all up. And now it's just. Yes, he did. He did.
You had me told me, I had no idea what it was. I had to go look at it. I said, oh, those are 1,000-foot marks.
Is that what they are?
1,000.
What about the pink paint across the road that they had put in?
That's 1,000 foot.
Is, okay,
1,000 foot.
interesting.
Lift station did it by 1,000 foot instead of parking, paving the sides of the road.
Right, 6 o'clock. Okay. PM on the dot. Call us meeting to order.
So good. Nice water.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Give me a second. So I can put this.
Sorry. Microphone down. Julie, is yours on just for? Perfect, thank you.
Right, so we have to do a few different things, correct? Go over the contract or sign the contract, and then you have banking.
We have looked at, in order to make it easier, especially for today, we can work on the contract, and then what we'd look for would be the contract approval. And then we could potentially, if that goes through, then we would have a secondary appointment of tax collector to take place at a later date.
Oh, okay.
And that saves us from having to do all of that in the middle of business today. We'll wait for the end of the month to close out this month's financials. So it would be after the 28th. We would look to have them take over the tax collector role after the close of this month's business.
So you would finish them out. You would be the one, and then starting in June would make it easier. Okay. That's what you two agreed upon. That sounds good.
Could it wait until the June meeting, or is that too long into June?
We're doing it so that it would be easier when it comes to, we close out our monthly finances anyway. So once business closes for the month, then we can reconcile and close out that month for the tax collector point of view. And there's really, it would wait for the council signatures in June, but it would be dated as of that date.
Okay.
So it'll close out, we can do the reconciliations, get the right numbers on the forms and have them ready for the June meeting.
So the June 7th meeting, we can sign on, approve and sign that. And that's okay.
Yep.
To happen that way.
I'm okay with that.
'Cause the 28th is a Friday, right?
Yes.
And then it's the weekend and is it a holiday, the 31st? Okay. Okay, so you're, right, well, it sounds like you have this figured out and set up that the best way to work. least amount of extra stuff. So tonight, we're just approving the contract.
Yes, and did you have your
And
copies?
I also wanted to talk to you about the hiring.
Okay.
So I
So we,
have no general report, no public hearing.
there are no residents present. Are there any residents online that would like to speak during the comments from the public section? I'm not seeing any, so we could jump right to old business, which would be the interim contract.
We need a motion.
Should we see the final contract?
I sent it
Before-
to you.
This is the same one. We went through this earlier today, just to make sure, and I'm going to give it to you, if you all got a copy, even though one sentence drifted to the backside, it's all the same contract. If you have one you want to work off of. And I'll answer any questions before you execute.
Thank you.
Were the attorney's concerns addressed?
Can I talk to that?
Yeah, yes, Rose, can you speak to that, please?
I worked, I went over Jack, the attorney, letter, and Jack had some concerns about clarification of number of hours per week. And that was clarified from the old agreement. And then, the compensation, which is standard. So I didn't bother to change that. And Jack had some concerns about, had we looked at other hiring consultant options? And we had done that at our last meeting. So that addressed that issue. And we changed the terminating notice, changed from 2 days to 4 days. And what we have is the revised one from the original agreement that was presented. Did I get, is that correct, Mitch?
Yes, Rose.
So what we'll need is a motion to
Yeah.
accept this, correct?
I was going to say, Madam Chair, would you like a motion?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that, now is this a contract or an employment agreement? It says on this that it is an employment agreement. So I make a motion that we accept the employment agreement between,
As a consultant.
as a consultant and an interim town manager. I make that
Yeah, does that
motion.
work?
Yeah, you have to say the name, Mitchell.
Mitchell Berkowitz.
And are you
Is someone-
authorizing the chair to execute that agreement on behalf of the council?
Yes, I am. I will authorize the chair to execute that agreement on behalf of the council.
Is there somebody trying to,
That's why I only got half of your motion because we cut you out.
Oh, was he signing in?
somebody's going, hey, hey, hello?
You motion to accept the agreement?
Employment agreement between the town of Mechanic Falls and Mitchell Berkowitz for consultant and as the interim town manager.
I would
With the
second that.
effective date, May 6th.
Yeah, I will second that motion.
Why is it May 6th and not today?
Because he started early.
The work product that I'm going to share with you was started before tonight because I figured you wanted to get going quickly on the hiring process.
We talked about this with Jack. He knew that
Yes.
we would predate it because he started the work. Once we offered him the position, he started the work.
And the alternative is if you choose not to hire me, you're not going to get billed for that.
It was at his risk that he proposed to do the work to help us out, get us in a timely manner. So he offered to do that for us, so we backdated the contract to accommodate his time spent.
Well, I'm kind of upset that it wasn't really talked about at the last council meeting, and I have not received any emails or any correspondence about any of this.
I believe I sent you some stuff.
What Ms. Aikman called me, I gave her my personal email because I cannot use the town.
Why
Can't
not,
get it,
though?
I can't get it to work. And what she sent did not open.
Okay, we
Well-
need to address this because this is very important information that we all had that we needed to be able to access.
But there were copies at the town, at the front.
Well,
desk.
and this has been slightly changed from the copy that I,
And
They did.
I offered to drop it off at the front desk.
so, anyway.
Well, this is a separate issue that we do need to address because we shouldn't be using your personal email. That's a no-no. And so we need to figure that out. Correct? That's a,
With the web-based.
Yeah, you had given it to me and I couldn't get it to function and my daughter couldn't get it to function. We couldn't seem to get it to let us in. So,
well, that aside, we will discuss that after.
okay.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
One second
Did you
here.
have something?
Do you need to take a moment to read through this?
No, I've been sitting here perusing it. I'm fine.
Okay. Is there anything in there that would stand out with you before we take a vote?
No,
I relinquish back in the chair.
thank you.
Yes.
Just for clarity purposes, does the motion on the floor also authorize the chair to execute on behalf of the council?
I included that.
Okay,
Yes, we
just
ended,
wanna
we
make
ended
sure.
with that, yes.
Can't hear him. You can't hear this. Can't hear Mr. Berkowitz.
Is this much better?
Yes, it is, because you're in front of a microphone now.
Okay. I simply asked the question, was the motion on the floor inclusive of the authorization of the chair to execute this agreement on behalf of the council? And the answer was yes.
How long a period are you planning to work for the town?
Please repeat.
How long is the agreement for you to work for the town as an interim manager?
How long is the agreement for?
The agreement can go to September 30th. It can be shortened by 4 days' notice by either party to terminate, or it can be lengthened by mutual written agreement.
Thank you.
This will be made public once we approve it, correct?
It is a public document once approved.
This will be made public once it's approved by the council. Okay, so try that again. We've had a second, we've had discussion, we're up for a vote. All those in favor? Those opposed? These are just our copies. We're going to need to just have one.
You should have one that is authorized to be signed by all the parties.
Is this just executed by me or by the chair, or, so it's just the chair, or does everyone need to sign?
Just you.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this then. We can have Julie witness. Julie will, well, Julie can witness for both of us.
Does that have to be notarized, Julie? Just witness, okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the board. Appreciate it.
Welcome aboard,
Welcome aboard.
officially. Okay, so you, and then Mitch, you said you wanted to talk about uh, the search piece of it.
I put this draft together to give us some guidance.
Let's see.
Thank you.
Allow me to explain, if I may.
Please do. Can you just make sure you're speaking into the microphone so everyone can hear? You can take your mask off. as well.
Okay.
Please do.
Can we address that, that mask issue right now because of the new mandates? I believe the governor has left it, masks are optional at this point. And if you feel comfortable, if you've been vaccinated, you certainly are within your rights to not wear the mask. Okay, so just wanted to make that clear. That's why I'm not wearing a mask. I've been vaccinated fully.
And if anyone would prefer that, for their own protection, that I wear a mask, even though I've had my COVID shot, I'll be more than happy to comply.
Thank you.
I wanted to share with you at least a draft of the process of getting an advertisement out, what a package looks like, get your feedback and some of your expectations. The first page that you have is called Search for Town Manager, Mechanic Falls, Maine. And it is a proposed ad. It is a written ad that would go and be published in newspapers of your choice. And on page 2, you will see a listing of the different sites, newspapers where it may be effective. I will tell you that all of this should also be as a package on your website, because the advertisement refers people to your website. It allows them to then read it further. It introduces the whole town through the website. And it also provides information such as the full charter and other questions they may have regarding zoning, the way the structure is. And so at some point within the next, either the meeting tonight or within the next few days, I'd like to have feedback as to any changes to the advertisement along with what we're about to address, and that is where you want it to be advertised. The market for getting managers is very tight. Even as we speak, there's a shuffle going on, but in the end, there are not enough people coming in to replace the people who are going out and retiring. And that's why you get old fogies like me and others who are still willing to come back and do some work with communities, but they won't do it full time. So the sooner we get it out there, we can also take advantage of people perhaps within this region who may very well want their next step up as a professional, as town managers. So that's page 1. And if you'd like, Madam Chair, I will hold off so people have a chance to read it.
If I may correct you, she's not Madam Chair, she's the Vice Chair.
My apologies. Would it be of any value, Madam Vice Chair, if I just simply read it so those who have tuned in through Zoom may also at least hear it?
Actually, that would be great. Please do.
Hopefully I can still read. Search for town manager, Mechanic Falls, Maine. Mechanic Falls, population 2,979, has initiated the search for their next dynamic town manager. The town operates under the authority of a charter and the town council. Working together, this leadership team continues to bring both economic development and the quality of municipal services to the community, including police, fire and EMS, public works, recreation, transfer station, library, economic and community development. Located in south central part of Maine, Mechanic Falls is an easy drive to both the mountains and the ocean, providing an excellent leisure opportunities. Strong leadership and interpersonal skills are required. A more detailed description of the position and community is posted on the town's website, along with the required authorization forms. mechanicfalls.govoffice.com, if that's correct. If it's incorrect, we can make that change. Interested persons with a demonstrated background in municipal management should submit their resume, professional experience, and references to Town Manager Career, 108 Lewiston Street, Town of Mechanic Falls, Maine, 04256. The town shall continue to accept letters of interest and resume packages until the position has been successfully filled. First round interviews are expected to start in late June of 2021. The town of Mechanic Falls is an equal opportunity employer. It will be signed Mechanic Falls Town Council.
Okay, so if I may, we would link this, which is, you said, refer to it. We would link that, and we would need to do some things on the website so that when they click on it, it goes right to, brings them to the charter, the personnel policy, and this. Is that something we can do? So that they can read?
I think you've got the concept.
Okay,
As soon as someone got to the homepage, it should have this advertisement
okay,
in bold,
okay,
and underneath, you hit it. That should bring them to a separate page on your website that has all of this,
okay,
so they don't have to keep searching.
right.
It should be all
All
there.
in one place. That's what, yeah, that's what I
correct.
wanted to make sure we can do. So is that something that you would do, Zach, or Julie? Who would be?
I think I can do it.
Okay,
Most of them should already be uploaded on there. You can copy the link from the, I want to say the council site has the charter and personnel policy. Those should all be updated. Yep. Sidebar.
now, so someone sees this and then they call Julie. They say, I saw that you're looking for a town manager, and she just refers them back to the website.
Precisely. If they're too lazy not to follow through,
Not our guy or girl.
Okay. All right, and I'm assuming that you pulled this from the contract,
the charter.
oh, the
Page-
charter, okay, right.
The two-page Mechanic Falls key position duties and responsibilities
Mhm.
is a kind of a current event, because if you look at the 2021 budget proposal, those numbers should be fairly close to what you're dealing with. But then the last page, I actually copied the section of your charter that deals with your town manager.
Okay,
Qualifications, powers and duties.
perfect.
The third section of that package would in fact be the agreement for background checks.
Okay,
And there was a fourth one that I just lost that would be included in that, and that's your town of Mechanic Falls actual application itself, to be consistent for personnel policy purposes.
okay, so the application for employment.
And will you be checking with not only the state, but the federal background?
To the best that we have access to it. Usually state is very good, and then MMA also does, I believe, a criminal civil check. But if we can get access to the federal, that would be good. I have never been able to access that, so I don't know how much I'm going to find, but I will inquire.
Okay.
Okay, so you took this directly from the charter. So these are, and these are numbers are
They have not been transcribed.
So are you just looking, you're just looking for feedback at this point? Because this is something that you'll,
That's correct. On the items that deal with the advertisement
Mhm.
and the 2 pages that deal with the key responsibilities and duties and the charter requirements.
Mhm.
Those latter 2, other than their layout, they're verbatim.
yeah, okay,
And you can eliminate some of that if you want, but I can't add something that isn't there.
right. No, I
On
agree.
the advertisement, the same. We can add and subtract on that.
Yep.
If there are things here that are misrepresented, let's catch them now. If this is satisfactory or it's not complete, let's add to that to make it complete. Because the last part of that will be, where do you want to spend your advertising dollars? And we'll get to
Right.
that after this.
I mean, I think town manager for Mechanic Falls, this is a good, it just gives them a little brief piece, but in general, a town manager position is gonna bring a lot of the same anywhere you go. I mean, obviously, a bigger town is gonna be different, but this ad is just to sort of catch the attention, right? And they say, oh, okay, so they're at the town, oh, they have less than 3,000 people. It's meant to be brief. We don't want it to be too long.
You're paying a lot of money per column inch.
Okay, so this is, does anyone have anything that we think we should add to this, or do we think this is good? Because I like this, because it's simple, and it says for more detailed description, you click the link, you've got the charter information, which is what we want. And we don't want to be paying
Big bucks
big bucks
for
for just more
worth-
words, which they might,
worthless words.
which
Yeah.
hopefully they're just gonna click. So if anyone has anything they want to add to that, let's do that first. You have something?
I'm okay with that.
It's a standard tickler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just enough worm on the hook.
Well, you know, the easy drive, both mountains and ocean. Yeah, I like that.
Do we need a motion on this?
Yeah, I think you just wanted feedback tonight.
At some point, maybe tonight, but soon, if you're not meeting for 2 weeks, we're losing 2 weeks of time, so.
Well,
I would ask-
if it will work, if you want stuff tonight, we're here.
I make a motion, we suspend Robinson rules and we add this to our agenda.
Perfect.
Second that?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, so we've suspended our Robert's Rules of Order. Now we're going to add an agenda item.
I make a motion that we add to the agenda 2 things. The discussion and decision on what the advertising should look like, as well as where we should advertise so that it can be done as soon as possible.
Okay, so under future town manager business, I guess this is what is going on, because we were under interim town manager. We took care of that business. So this new business, the new
Future
motion
town
is under
manager.
future town manager. So any discussion? All those in favor of adding the future town manager business?
I did.
Great. I make a motion that we accept what was presented to us for the advertisement by Mr. Berkowitz.
Mitch.
Mr. Mitch.
Do we have a second
I would second that.
discussion?
Are you comfortable with all of these, Mitch? I know you wouldn't put them if you weren't.
It's just that I want to make sure you're comfortable with them.
Okay, and estimated cost of that?
Well, that's the one page here.
Yeah, first we're doing the average,
We're doing
this
that.
we're doing first,
Yes.
just
Yeah,
this.
we're-
Then we're gonna talk about where to go. That's second in
Yeah,
the cost of things.
Okay, but isn't that, what are we talking about?
No,
now?
we're just talking about
we're
this,
talking about the ad.
just the ad. Are we okay with the ad?
I thought we were on the other, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, we backed up because we added it to the agenda so that it was all correct.
okay, yeah,
So now we're just doing the search for town manager ad.
Okay.
We like this ad.
Yes.
yeah, okay. And it's appearing in all of these?
No,
No.
that's the next
No,
part.
no,
Okay.
that's
the
another
next
segment.
second. Sorry.
Okay,
this
all
was-
right,
So there was a motion to accept the ad as presented. Ray seconded it.
We
okay,
had discussion.
okay.
All those in favor of the ad? Okay. Now, next discussion is where Mitch suggests that we place the ad. What I'm hearing is that you said it's a pretty tight, pretty standard place to put them. You've got the costs here and the duration. Oh, I guess.
They don't come cheap.
No,
I would certainly recommend the Portland Press Herald
Okay.
and the Sun Journal.
and these
And
are.
then a MMA.
Yes,
This is the actual physical paper, but also online as well.
that's my understanding.
Yeah,
But
they do
they,
both.
Maine Municipal will not give us a quote until we give them the ad. Now that you've approved the ad, I can get the final quote.
Okay,
But they're usually the more reasonable compared to the press. And it does include online as well as.
Okay.
I suggest also look north, to the Bangor Daily News.
I would agree.
And I think we should add the New Hampshire Municipal Association and the Vermont one.
And you can see fairly quickly that it adds up. But by getting this out, as I indicated to Paul earlier this evening, you charge it up to this fiscal year. And it doesn't mean that this is the only time you put the ads out. We may find that we have to stir the pot again, that we may be more selective. You'll notice that I do not have on here sites like Indeed. I've used them, and the advertisement produces a lot of hay, but very little in the way of substance, in my opinion. This is a specialty all of its own. And the other issue that I don't recommend is International City Managers Association. While it's really good, you're too small, it's too expensive. And I have found, generally speaking, if you are looking to hire some person, you want them to already have some familiarity to the state of Maine. Also, they may not have moving expenses. They may be able to commute. Whereas out of state, usually that becomes part of the negotiation process and an extra expense. And then after 2 or 3 years, bless them, they're that good, they look elsewhere, perhaps within the state. So you picked on the ones that I figured you'd pick on. The real question is Central Maine, the Kennebec Journal Morning Sentinel, also an option? And if you notice, it's $132.30 per day, as is the Sun Journal. But it gives you a lot of exposure to this region.
There's a lot of professional people up there, politicians. Up in
I was
that
gonna say
area.
Augusta's up
I
there.
mean, that's a big hub for, people who are coming up through their education. They're going to target legislators and
Now, my question is, because the Kennebec Journal is owned by the Portland Press Herald, just because you advertise in the Portland Press Herald, it doesn't automatically get you in the Kennebec Journal?
That's correct. And if you notice under the Sun Journal or the Kennebec Journal, Central Maine is what I tagged because that's really where the distribution is. In the Sun Journal, it covers Androscoggin, Oxford, and Franklin counties. The Portland Press Herald pretty well covers all of the southern Maine counties.
Now, how do we determine what day and how many weeks we should run it?
In my experience, the weekends are the best.
So the Sunday edition.
Or in some cases, it's only the Saturday edition, not the Sunday edition. And you run them all once. And then you sit back and you wait and see patiently over a week or so what's coming in. What kind of contacts are coming in by phone calls? What kind of contacts are actually being thrown out there very quickly?
With the Maine municipal one, that will be more than just a one-time deal, as well as the New Hampshire Municipal Association. That's still correct, right?
New Hampshire doesn't have a monthly magazine, but it's posted on their website for 60 days.
60 days.
That's 60 days for $150, correct?
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same with Vermont.
And with the Maine municipal, it may be a little more expensive than those two, but it'll be on their website for, I can't remember what Dave told me. It's more than a day. It's a month or two.
And quite frankly, sometimes they even, most of your main community managers also will say, put me through to Dave Barrett. Dave will give them a little bit of an understanding if he does know the community that's being inquired about.
So we probably should do the Kennebec Journal.
Yeah. We definitely don't want to do that international city
No, that's the
managers,
only
because that
one.
would be Boston and big cities,
Right.
and we
Yeah.
don't want
Do we
that
want to do Vermont? Or is that too far?
Well, it's $60.
Okay,
for 2 months.
okay. So
It's
Vermont,
cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap hit.
okay, so we do want to do Vermont, and we want to do New Hampshire.
The only one we don't want to do would be the International City Managers Association.
Okay, but do we want to do, so we want to do the Portland Press, if they have all the southern Maine counties. Sun Journal,
Well, there's a basic population and readership issue. In Portland Press Herald, the Sunday edition, you are tapping a lot of households. You're also tapping a lot of the colleges that are in southern Maine that may have students coming out of management career fields.
And the Sun Journal would be the same because you've got Bates College, you've got USM.
And that's why I threw the names of those three counties in that they service, so that you could judge for yourself if Androscoggin, Oxford, and Franklin are being covered by something else. But Franklin, Androscoggin, and Oxford are still very populous, and they're within commute distance to here.
Now, that estimate cost per day, how much do they zap you per word? You know?
I'm sorry,
Do you know how much they charge per word? It says on Portland Sun and Kennebec, all estimated cost per day. I'm assuming you did that based on a word count?
based on a size of 2.46 by 2.5 column inch.
So that was for the other two as well.
Right, and they will send back to me what that estimate is, and if necessary, I can pare it down a little bit. But the first day it shows is $752. And each day thereafter is relatively inexpensive, but it's still $121.50 beyond that. So I have that option, and there may be some wording that I can reduce to help keep it in or under that particular budget level. But that's your big one right there.
Did you
So,
try shoving this into that diagram?
Small print, yes. I also look at the Sunday paper and visualize how that would fit in there. That's going to be a tight fit in Portland Press Herald.
So what are you envisioning size-wise for this?
Well, right now I've quoted you the one day at 752, but if they say it's going to come back at a much higher rate, I mean, if it went to 800, I wouldn't touch it. But beyond $800, I'd say, okay, now we're going to start reducing this a little bit,
right,
The mountains and the ocean can come out.
which may be the selling point, but remember, this is the first for many, this is the first contact in their experience with the town of Mechanic Falls. And experienced managers judge a lot by what they read.
So the Sun Journal and the Kennebec Journal, they don't have that big fee, just the flat daily cost, not based on size, just the full cost. Okay.
Yes. Because I don't believe either one of them carries a Sunday paper.
Sun Journal does.
Okay.
Mitch, do you have what's general coverage for the Portland Press Herald? Do you have the,
I don't have the reader count or subscriber count or sales count. All I know is it covers all of the southern communities.
okay,
Cumberland and York County.
Cumberland and
Yeah.
York.
yeah.
And it probably drifts a little bit beyond that into Portsmouth.
Mhm.
And Saginaw up
And,
the
well,
other way.
It comes up here, so. I was just curious.
This price includes all the additions, all the areas, different areas are called additions. Additions.
I do not know. Usually what I've seen in the Sunday paper is in the main body, not in the additions. So I hope I'm answering your question correctly. Because it's in the main body under position opportunities.
Because they've got different additions, the number of stars on the header is the addition number, and it goes to different segments of the population.
I will inquire.
Yeah, like our edition here is different than the edition that they actually get in Lewiston and Auburn.
I will ask the question. Let's assume for a moment the answer is no. How do you want to deal with the Portland Press Herald then?
Well, that kind of reduces our bang for our buck. We may opt to go with a larger, but a more directed audience. If we have to pick an area, we're going to pick where the colleges are, obviously. We're going to do some research, and we're going to figure out where the administrative colleges are. That's where we're going to potentially get some candidates.
And based on what you've given us price-wise, and I figured for the Portland Press Herald, $800 instead of the $750. One-time WAP into all of those is going to be $2,106.90.
That's without Maine Municipal.
Yeah,
That sounds about right. Okay. And that's just one day. That's if we did like next Sunday.
Right.
And then, how do you decide if you're gonna do it Monday, Tuesday, or if you need to do the following Sunday?
I effectively look at weekends, not
Okay.
weekdays.
and do you stagger them? Do you run, say, in the Portland Press Herald, one weekend and the Sun Journal another weekend, or do you do a blitz of all of them on the same
Shotgun all at
weekend?
once.
Yeah, the
Catch the
shotgun
attention,
approach.
because once, being realistic, your community is not capable of teaching a first-time manager how to be a manager. So once this gets shotgun out, I'm depending on the managers calling managers and thinking about their careers. And those who've been working in 2,000, 1,000 population less may be ready to start moving up into something bigger. And that's what I'm banking on. And that is the conversations that are held between the professionals in the field. In this state, Vermont, and New Hampshire.
Do you know what, I didn't think to ask Mr. Dave when I talked to him. Do you know when you did the ads for Jackman and Buckfield and those places, do you remember what the ads cost with the Maine Municipal when you did those?
No, I don't. Sorry. But even if they were cheaper than what they're showing here, back then, I think the estimated cost of 150 is probably good. If you want to have a sign off, then authorize your chair or someone for me to call and saying it's not 150, it's this. And they have the ability to say yes or no to that.
Can we tonight say If it's, say, 200 or less, it's a go, but if it's above that, you need to come and,
You set the parameters, and I will simply follow it.
When I advertised for a foreman in Old Orchard Beach on Maine Municipal Association, they whacked me $350 for a listing for a foreman.
but I think their prices for municipalities are different through their HR
Old Orchard
department.
Beach is a municipality. When it was the assistant public works director down there. Advertising.
Oh, okay, well, not as a civilian, but
No,
as
no,
part of,
no.
okay.
I was an official.
And did they run it for 60 days? Ray?
They ran it until we gave them an end date, and that's where they ran it to, was the end of date. We had to have the position filled by. Or we ran it until closed.
Mhm.
It was kind of an open-ended deal, but they said $350 and we'll do it.
They were very cautious, the person I talked to, not to give me any specific number other than in general. That's why I put this in. This is my general understanding. But if you set it at 200 and it's more, then I will get back to whoever you designate.
I suspect it's going to be more.
So would it be pertinent or prudent of us to say $500 for Maine Municipal?
I would say that that's a more realistic number. Because they will run it till we.
Till we tell them not to anymore,
Right.
which is worth the money. That's one of the reasons why we need to do that. Because it's an open-ended. And that can all come out of the contingency fund that we currently have, correct, Mr. Marr?
The end of it. Spend the transfer funds from contingency.
Okay. Okay.
So if we say 500. we use
For Maine
500
Municipal,
Maine
yeah.
Municipal, that brings it up to like 2,600.
$2,607, basically.
So that moves it up. And that seems about right, correct?
In the markets today,
Yep,
yes.
okay. And so you would suggest that we do it for one day on a Sunday or Saturday, whatever one they do. And then we sit back and watch. And if we need to, we do it again in a couple of them that aren't running for 60 days or whatnot.
And what end date, what date do you recommend we put on it for applications need to be in by so that you can,
I'm not recommending that.
none at all?
Not at all.
Until the position is filled.
Till the position is filled. So
Okay.
that way, if a person who comes in late to the game says, oh, I should have, we can consider it.
Right.
Or we have the right to say no.
No, okay. That's logical.
Because our advertising may be done and we may still be getting some resumes.
So should we give him a budget of, say, $3,000?
What did we budget for that roughly? For the advertising
Oh, prior to this or?
prior? I don't think we had talked.
We hadn't
specific
talked any numbers.
But
So that's why I'm asking, should we vote on giving him a number that he can't go above today?
So would you feel comfortable with that based on the numbers that
It's a
we've,
good start. Yeah,
based
not
on
to
what we've talked
exceed.
about? So, and what you could do is come back with, the Portland Press Herald is 800, Maine Municipal's 450, say, or whatever. And as long as you can keep it under 3 or, make it happen, then it would be a go. Like if we give you the budget, then you can do what you need to do it.
Well, I want to ask you, on the list that you have now worked with, let's go from 1 to whatever the end of the list is. Give me your priorities. If in fact we're running out of cash,
Yep.
what are your priorities? And we'll focus on that. You may say Portland Press Herald was number 1, but now maybe it's number 3. And you'd rather have some other priorities as to which ones would come in first. obviously, the lower the priority, the less likely we get to it if we exceeded $3,000.
Right. Do we agree that Portland is, we should do Portland?
Yes.
I think we should do
I do.
Portland.
A lot of people are looking to move out of Portland.
Yeah, okay. So Portland can be our one?
Yeah, I would say that's
Okay.
a good start.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of looks to me already like how I would think. Because I think the Sun Journal would be the second, or
Well,
Kennebec.
Kennebec
if I may,
Journal.
actually, my opinion is that we should consider doing Maine Municipal and the New Hampshire Municipal Associates as our 2 and 3, because they're geared right at the type of individual we're looking for.
Okay,
Right.
provided Maine Municipal is under $500.
Right now, there's 13 pages on Maine Municipal Association for job listings,
So,
13 pages.
but it's an easy search. You go in and put what you're looking for and
Well,
it pulls up all that you want.
Go ahead, Rose.
I think that the Maine Municipal, New Hampshire, and Vermont are probably a given for their cost, particularly New Hampshire and Vermont.
Yep.
You know, that, I
Okay.
wouldn't even give that a number on the list. I
It's
think,
cheap
I would
money.
think that was just a given.
The New
Check
Hampshire and the
mark.
Vermont, yeah, $150 and $60.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just check
so let's
marks.
make those 2 and 3 then? Or just
Just
given?
2 check marks.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
So Portland Press, number 1, Maine Municipal,
um,
I think it should be number 2. If it's 500 or less.
I did get a bunch of good leads.
yeah,
Maine
okay. So
Municipal.
Maine Municipal number 2,
New Hampshire, number 3.
correct? Vermont 4,
So it's the ones that we have to decide about are the smaller ones in the middle.
yeah.
Now, the Bangor Daily doesn't come down far enough to the Kennebunk. And vice versa, because I've got relatives that live up that way.
I think our Kennebec Journal is our next best.
I would agree. And then Sun Journal, so Kennebec and then Sun. Oh.
Kennebec,
Price,
number
price.
5,
Yeah.
Kennebec.
Sun Journal, number 6.
yes,
My thing with the Sun Journal is that a lot of people in this area that get the Portland Press Herald also get this, usually what I've seen in my neighbors, they actually get the Portland Press Herald over the Sun Journal because the Sun Journal's not got as much in it anymore.
true. We're going to have
But
overlap.
the,
People
but
are gonna-
the Sun Journal gets into Oxford County. It gets into, it has a pretty wide coverage.
Yeah, it's true too.
And it's pretty inexpensive for the.
If
one-
it
for
is,
one-
yeah.
For one day, if we did it
Yeah.
for one day.
For one day.
If-
Or the
if
Bangor's, we don't know
Right.
what the Bangor could be as much as
$700 minimum.
800. Well, it's a minimum of 700 for their Saturday. Which could actually be 800 or 900.
That's just the University of Maine up there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not much. I mean, the military's moved out of there. It's just general tourist industry kind of thing up that way.
And
Although
some,
there's Machias.
some of that'll be covered by the Maine Municipal.
Yeah.
Well, it will. So I don't think that's a good.
So Bangor is not a good one.
don't
Well,
think
I
Right,
that's a
put
good-
that at the
left,
bottom of the
yeah.
list.
Yeah, I'd put that as 7.
So do you feel comfortable with this?
Yes,
With a $3,000, to not exceed 3,000 and in this order?
yes.
Okay.
My procedure here will be to call each of them, email over, or currently internet over to them, get an estimate. When I see how they're all lining up in dollars and cents, follow your priority, and if there's still money available, then number 7 may get hit.
Okay.
I like that. I feel comfortable with that.
I make a motion that we set a advertising budget of $3,000, not to be exceeded, for the advertisement of the new town manager.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I think that I think we ought to include that you would have authority as a vice chair to negotiate if we need other monies.
You want to add that as an amendment?
I think that would be wise that you would have that authority to negotiate if he comes up to you and says, I didn't think about this one. This is a great deal for us, but it's going to put you like $3,100.
Well, what I was thinking was by giving him this budget, he can by next Saturday or Sunday, get these ads in, and then we have our council meeting the following
7th.
week. And then he could bring it then.
It's actually 3 weeks out, our meeting.
Yeah, because of election.
Yeah, we
June
really
7th.
want to get this. Because we're not going to meet for,
The only thing I'm adding is that you would have somewhat of an authority to make an executive decision if he comes to you.
okay.
The only thing I would really like to add as an amendment to that
If
budget.
if something made it exceed $3,000, but only by $100, and it seemed like a good idea.
Right.
I'll second that.
As an amendment to,
So we need to vote on the amendment and then the whole package.
Correct.
all those in favor? All those opposed? That was the amended piece. Now the actual motion
With the amended piece.
with the amended piece
As amended.
as amended. Any discussion? All those in favor? You need something, Julie? Clarified?
So follow motion to the budget for the town manager, propose second unit, but then during the discussion, Ray motion to authorize you to add additional money. Seconded by Rose.
No, it wasn't to add additional money. It was to give Tarsha the power if Mr. Mitch came to her and said, hey, I don't have enough money. I need $100 more to be able to do an okay to that.
It's granting her executive decision-making powers to the budget.
The original motion was for 3,000.
So follow motion budget for $3,000 for the new town manager, seconded by Rose, and Ray motion for the authorized vice chair to add decision making for additional funds up to $100.
I don't feel comfortable putting an amount to it. I don't feel comfortable. I would not feel comfortable adding a lot of money. So the chances of him coming to me and telling me he wants any more money. I mean, we can keep the amendment, but I don't see that would be, because we have everything so laid out, and the last one being a very large amount, I can't see that's going to come into play.
So for a decision for making for additional funds, seconded by Rose, and then the amendment was voted 3 against 1.
Yes.
And then you're gonna,
But because we can't meet for 3 weeks, if there was something that came up and he wanted to put it in, I would be authorized
and
to.
the final motion is the one that was originally made that you guys all
Right.
voted.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry.
How are you getting 3 weeks? That's the thing I don't get. Today's the 21st. There's next week.
Today's the 20th, so you've got,
Yeah.
well, it's like 17 days. Today's a Thursday. We don't
We
have a
meet,
but
we
2
meet
weeks.
on June 7th.
Right, that's 2 weeks from Monday,
Okay.
but that's 2 weekends. Well, that's
Yeah, I
this
see what you're
weekend and then 2
saying.
weekends.
We would lose 2
We
weekends.
would lose 2 weekends.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your urgency to start. And I want to address all of these issues tonight while we're all together and can make the decision together. So do you feel comfortable with that?
Yes.
You can move forward, and you can always, you can share this information with us because it will be here. We can have this information.
Having your emails allows me to do that. And I would only feel comfortable indicating it may be something simple as, I've got all the bids in, this is the lineup, same ad, I'm shooting it out.
Okay. Just so we're aware.
And at the same time, we've got to make sure we have the package on the website, because as soon as one of these ads come out,
They're going
it's gonna go to
there.
the website.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so is that something you can work with Julie?
When do you want this out?
ASAP.
Yeah, ASAP. So just,
Are you gonna, is it too late to advertise this weekend?
Yes,
So it needs to be out on the website before next weekend.
yes, and you and I, on Monday, if that's workable for you.
Yep, that's doable. I was thinking you wanted to do it.
Yeah, no, we're not expecting you to come in tomorrow and do it.
I could probably get it done, but.
we know that. When it's just, the urgency is that we can meet tonight and and approve this. Mitch can move forward getting the prices and doing the stuff, and then it can happen next weekend and the following weekend if he so decides.
Does that mean she can't do it tonight for tomorrow morning?
She is here at work.
I definitely think that we can have that up and running before the end of the.
Okay,
I will work with you.
It'll
That
probably
shouldn't be
be
a
on the
problem.
website well before you guys do that.
right.
And that's okay.
Okay, thank you
Because you're
very much.
efficient.
Thank you, Miss Julie. We're going to ruin that nice vacation she had.
Her battery's charged up.
Was there anything else, Madam Vice Chair, that you or any of the members of the council felt should be included in the website package that we don't have at the moment?
No, I'm glad that you said you were going to add the background check and the application and employment.
One
Someone's going to call and
concern,
ask and have, someone's going to think of something. So, Paula?
one concern I have, and we haven't addressed it, and I think we should tonight, is because there's a conflict between our employees' personnel file and our charter of living in town, is to make sure that the person knows that while that's a part of the thing that says that they need to live in town, that it's negotiable. It's
It's
very
definitely
important.
negotiable
Yeah.
at this point, and it says that in the charter. that
Well,
We have the ability to modify that.
I understand that, but if they read the personnel thing and they see one thing and then they see the charter and the other, they may question it. So I wonder if there's some way that we can make sure that in the packet information that you put up, that they are aware that that's negotiable.
I think we can see what's happening and,
We'll see if it's a question that's brought
yeah,
up, number one.
yeah, and then if it's not a question, we can still address it. But let's,
We do need to keep it in mind.
yes.
And my concern is that somebody reads, may be interested, maybe a really great candidate, and then sees the must live in town and doesn't go any further than that, and then starts looking for real estate in town and can't find real estate in town. That's,
I think that the charter says it's 9 months and that we don't have the right to waiver, but we have the right to extend.
Extend.
oh, okay. That's a concern for me, especially with as hard of a market as it is. And the competition is the conflicting information to make sure that somebody that sees that may not go any further than just seeing must live in town. And then they click on realtor.com or Zillow or something and goes, okay, so how are they expecting to get a town manager when I can't find a house in town?
My question to all of you. Have you talked with your town's attorney regarding that language? And can a policy that you adopt exceed the authority of the charter language?
No,
No.
No.
Therefore, no to both of my questions, or no, the policy cannot exceed the authority of the charter?
policy cannot exceed. the
Right,
authority
charters.
of the-
So therefore,
Dominant.
the language in the charter says to extend. So the process of negotiation with your top candidate, who may decide they want to commute rather than buy right away, is that the language can be resolved there through negotiations right off the bat.
Okay.
That way it's not an issue that should surface.
Right, because the charter does say that they need to live in town, but then it also says it can be extended. And that's what we did with Zach's. And they did it with Zach's right from the beginning, because he lived right down the road.
Mhm.
So we do need to address that. We need to make sure that they match. But in this time, I mean, we couldn't very well fault someone for not being able to buy a house in town if there's no houses in town right now. I mean,
Well, the reason why I said what I said and how I said it was because generally speaking, an individual applicant may decide they want to follow up with a telephone call. And if I get the phone call, I can tell them just what we discussed. And it's an element of discussion, negotiation. So it should be clarified, regardless of whether you go back to referendum and change the charter,
mhm.
it is a resolved issue by virtue of using the language that already exists.
Yeah, my only concern was, like I said, if somebody clicked on the charter to read the charter and they saw that and they got must live in town and they didn't go beyond that. And then,
If that's how they review it and we never get them, it may be our loss, but on the other hand, they should have dug deeper.
deeper. Okay.
My turn. The only thing, it's a great list of key duties and responsibilities. The only thing in here that I feel is lacking is grant writing experience.
Do that. Not everyone is proficient in everything.
We ask them to look at that because we have a number of projects that are potential grant monies available.
Well, Madam Vice Chair, that really now brings us to the third item that I wanted to discuss tonight. What is it that you really expect from your town manager? We started the discussion, so I would ask the Vice Chair to continue that discussion. So it gives me a flavor because if I have the opportunity to talk with applicants, I want to be open and honest with them. I want to be able to say, yes, grant writing is actually number one, not at the end of the list, but something that is extremely important as opposed to personality or something like that. I want to know what is important to you as the current elected officials looking ahead.
Well, obviously they have to have a great big S on their chest. They got to be Superman and proficient at everything. But
Super person?
a super person, yes, I'm sorry. No, somebody who is got an administrative career in mind, that they are looking at this not as a manufacturing job. It's a personnel position. We're not making things, we're negotiating things. So somebody who's got a strong background in administrative processing, legal savvy, somebody who has the ability to work with diverse cultural platforms. Seems to be a predominant thing nowadays. And so,
I think that should be first.
I think they need to be able and be willing to be open to the community and to the public and be approachable. And they have the ability to communicate and listen. Communication is number one, in my opinion. Next to the ability to manage, they have to be able to communicate.
fiscal responsibility is very important too.
Well, that would be part of the managing, I would think. And Lisa will keep them on track.
I'm hearing I'm hearing what I like. I'm trying to think, I'm here listening to these and saying yes, and then thinking about. I think for me, communication is very important.
I would probably say communication is very important. Also fiscal responsibility is very important. Knowing how to put a budget together and, because we are a small town and we do pay a lot of taxes.
Right, and the communication is key because they have the council, they have their employees, and then they have the townspeople. Because the townspeople are supposed to come, if you have an issue, supposed to take it to the town manager first. So I think that's a big, there's a lot of webbing in there with, between the community people and then the employees. And the council is part of the, in the town residents. So I think,
Let me interpret that. Something very simple. An experienced manager who understands the management responsibilities working in a charter community.
yeah.
Well, you can have somebody that meets that and they lack communication and a heart. Yeah. I've seen it, been there, done that.
Well, let's go for it though.
I guess my postage stamp would be teamwork.
Yeah, they
Right
definitely
there
have to
next
work.
to team personnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have to work with a lot of different people.
Right.
And they're going to be put into all kinds of obscure positions. I mean, poor Mr. Marr wasn't here but a couple of months and the mill decided to burn down. And he got to spend days down there overseeing the mill burning down. That was his big introduction to our community.
So walking on water. Should I go down?
That's
the
already,
rest
that's
of the
already been,
definitions?
that's already been done. That's
I was
been
going to
taken.
say, I think that's already been done.
Okay.
I think that person's already got another job.
Do you want to include in the package on the website salary expectation range?
We don't have a range. We've already got a budget set and the budget is what it is.
Right, but don't we ask them theirs? Do we ask them theirs? With their salary expectation?
That's
No,
a Pandora's box.
Yeah.
We budgeted what, 71 or $72,000.
If they're really that interested, they'll probably go to look in detail as to what you've already advertised for administration. What I'm trying to get at more is the issue of they may already have expectations far greater. And the only way to determine that is they may express that in their resume or in their cover letter. Do you want them to express that or leave that to it as an unknown? And if we get down to it, when we get to negotiations, then we discover that that person fits the budget or doesn't fit the budget.
Right. And we might find that a candidate is overqualified and over expectant of their wages. That's why you put down compensation is negotiable. And we provide a benefit package.
Then I will leave it as is and not make any other changes.
But so that you're aware of it, it's already been budgeted, $71,000 and that's it.
Well, we're window shopping.
And you're kind of eating up some of that starting June 1st.
You can always blame the interim, yes. That's right. Okay, so I've got your priorities. Is there anything else?
I'd like to make a quote from the charter. This is under Article 3, Section 1. The last sentence, the town manager shall, however, be a resident of the town within 9 months of his or her appointment, and the council retains the authority to extend that period of time as they deem appropriate. I just want to make sure that it's clarified, that this comes directly from the charter.
And that's the verbiage that you can work with.
Yeah.
Ultimately, in any agreement that you strike with the candidate, you would deem appropriate.
Have we answered your question?
Yes, have I given you enough information? Or is there something that you are still questioning?
I have one question. The copy of the thing that I got had said Mondays, Tuesdays, and a part of a Wednesday. And Lisa really needs you here on Thursday. So you will be,
Wednesday?
That was, yeah.
yeah,
No, I apologize if I sent the wrong one out because and I think the contract that we've now got in place, I plan to be here on Mondays, Tuesday mornings if needed in the office,
okay,
based on what happens Monday nights at any of your meetings, and on Thursdays.
okay,
Now, that may not be an 8 or 9 hour day on Thursday, but it'll be at a point which is convenient for wrapping up any payables, receivables, things of that nature that I have to sign off on. And I also remain available to all of the staff in the council by telephone and by email as needed. I don't care if it's a Saturday or Sunday.
okay.
I'm fine.
I also would like to thank Rose for her patience as we communicated back and forth,
You're
putting
entirely
this
welcome.
together.
Thank you, Rose, for sitting for me when I couldn't.
That's okay.
Well, and with that topic coming up, at this point, I don't think it is appropriate that we continue without a chair and a vice chair. We had talked about not doing that until we had a full board. And this particular situation has shown why we need a chair and a vice chair. So before, when we have our council meeting, we should probably take care of that matter, even though it's only going to be for a couple of weeks.
You want to put that on the agenda?
Yeah. Because
For June 7th.
I don't know what, based on what my research said, and I know it was a necessity, Tarsha, because you were ill, but the manner in which it was handled, it should have been handled by the chair or the vice chair, and Rose had not been appointed that, so it was not a appropriate thing that should have been done. So, and I think in order to correct that, we just need to make sure we have a chair and a vice chair.
Okay, we also need to fix your email issue.
Yeah.
That's a no-no. We can't be sending her anything anymore via her private email, so we do definitely need to-
We're allowed if we're okay with potential of FOAA being involved. That's what the MMA attorney told me.
So you're okay with them going through your whole entire email?
If they want to read my boring farm emails, they're more than welcome to.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
You, as a council, I still believe have the right to set your own working procedures. And that's something that you should take up if you feel that's appropriate. Obviously, there's something wrong, technological. I don't have some of that capability. You don't want to leave someone out of the loop, but on the other hand, in all the communities that I've been to, they move to that very issue. And that means at the conclusion of their term, they're taken off all of those emails are stored and saved in the cloud or wherever you save them. And the end results are that person doesn't have to be called as a witness if their statements are part of that email. Council procedure. Now, the month of July might give us an opportunity to review with all the people sitting here at that point. Policy, practice, procedures, charter requirements, the role of elected officials versus appointed officials. I think there's a great opportunity there to get everyone under the same understanding moving forward.
We normally don't have a meeting in July. Do we have to do anything special to have a meeting in July?
You can call workshops and meetings. I know that
We have an appointment.
many groups
We have one.
don't necessarily make decisions in workshops, but the reality is it's your public meeting. You have every right to do that. It's your own council rules that either prohibit or allow it.
Okay.
That count, at that July workshop, we will have a full board presumably at that time. So, I mean, that's been the intent, is we table that discussion because we did not feel that was appropriate until we had a full board. That's why we did that.
Are
So
we meeting the 15th of June?
You're supposed to be meeting on the 7th, and then you meet on the 15th for an organizational meeting, which then you will choose your chair and your vice chair and all of that.
Okay.
And I believe, did you put down the date?
Yes, that was,
That day? So essentially, you'll appoint your fifth person, and then you'll have your organizational meeting, which will be the, who you want as chair and vice chair.
And what was that date that you said, Julie?
the 15th.
15th.
Because at the last council meeting,
The 14th.
at the
yeah.
last council meeting, they didn't close applications until June 21st. That's what we all decided on for the applications for the appointment was June 21st.
Was that 2 weeks after the meeting then, or was it 1 week?
So you're meeting June 14th.
Well, I think we're, let me see if I put anything in my calendar, because I feel like we did talk about this.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I have a June 21st at 6:30 is what I put in here for. So the 15th is
Okay.
was the last day that they could get them in?
The 15th is the last day we're accepting the application for appointment. And on
Okay.
the 21st at 6:30, you'll have your organizational meeting and pick your results.
Okay.
And your person.
And have you received any applications?
One, but it didn't have anything on it, it just said wherever you did. One that was specific.
Oh, like they would be on the planning board if we needed them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Julie, you're saying that June 21st is their meeting to take action.
The organizational meeting is June 21st, not the 14th.
Okay. There's nothing the week of the 14th or the 15th?
No. Just the deadline for application.
And then we're talking June, right? And then on the 7th of June, we have our regular council meeting.
Right,
And then it's,
elections are on the 8th.
8th, yep.
and then the 21st, we have our organizational meeting.
Mhm.
We can do it after.
And what does the month of July look like?
So normally we don't have a meeting in July. So we can make, it's open, there's not one that's set, it's not the first Monday.
Okay.
So we can set that when we, I guess we could tentatively set it now, but we won't have a full board until the 21st of June, so. we could say the 12th or the 19th is tentative.
We can't do the 19th because the 19th is planning board. Planning board meets all year round. They don't get July off. If they have a packet that comes in, they meet.
The 19th?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it wouldn't even have to be a Monday, because if you're here on a Thursday too, we could also do a Thursday. So we want to wait on that, but decide that we're going to do a July workshop.
That's what I'm kind of heading towards.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
because July 5th is 4th of July weekend, so that would leave us with the 12th, sometime the week of the 12th.
I think we're closed that Monday anyway, for the board, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
on the, yeah, I don't think the 5th is a good idea.
Yeah, July 5th. Yeah.
So the 12th looks like it would, what we would sort of be boxed into. Is that something that you would like to schedule?
If we can do it on July 12th, that would be fine. It actually works out well because I've got to go down to New York to visit Mama, who's 93, going on 94. And won't be too many more of those trips down.
So July 12th.
July 12th workshop.
Let's do 6 at a workshop.
If there's going to be any voting, it has to be just a regular council meeting. So if there's a potential for voting, don't call it a workshop, we'll just call it a council meeting.
Special meeting.
Yeah, a special council meeting.
We've traditionally done a workshop before the organizational meeting to discuss the council rules and order. And last year, this one we brought it up again, so the new council can sit down with the rules of order and discuss any potential changes to the rules and procedures they adopt every year.
So they could do that on the 21st instead of June. the workshop.
That's, will that be called a special council meeting? The 21st, it's the
That
organizational
would be the
meeting.
organizational one anyway, so it's a regularly stated.
Oh, okay, so that
charter
is already
meeting.
set, okay. And so can there be motions made at that one? Oh, there has to be because we're,
We did the workshop ahead of time. I think we met at like 5 o'clock before the meeting to talk about the bylaws, rules and procedures. They're not called bylaws, but they really are.
So we're going to do it on the 21st, or are we going to do it on the 12th of July? All of it. Would you prefer two separate? Okay, so we'll keep the 12th of July. We'll do both.
Mhm.
And 6:30.
6 PM.
On July.
Mhm.
No, I'm talking about the June 21st one.
Yeah, 6:30 on June 21st. 6 o'clock on the other 12th.
We don't have any further business. I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Is this the last time we're going to see you, just Zach, basically?
I
If
think
it is,
so.
good luck to you.
Yes, thank you. Good luck.
I think you're in good hands. Good night, everybody online. Bye, Mr. Wood.